Jimi Hendrix hasn't been on the planet for years, yet all of a sudden, his name is all over again. Everyone is talking about music blogs, social feeds, and headlines. Why is he currently the subject of such global obsession? What recently took him back into the public eye? Stay put, since what's happening could permanently alter your perception of him. There was more to Jimi Hendrix than just guitar. He was an explosion of culture. Hendrix became a symbol of sound, freedom, and revolt from the time he set a guitar on fire at Monterey until his iconic performance of the national song at Woodstock. His music continues to be played on playlists, in documentaries, and in guitar solos all across the world decades after his passing. By 2025, however, that love has grown into something much more potent. A comprehensive homage tour that is proudly and loudly reintroducing Hendrix to the public eye. The focal point of its comeback is the 2025 Experience Hendrix Tour, spanning from Cincinnati on March 11 to Atlanta on April 12. It includes 27 thrilling dates in North America. Fans are exposed to an incredible collection of musicians at each destination that respectfully and boldly reinvent Hendrix's tunes. Classics like Purple Haze, Little Wing, and Voodoo Child have been enhanced by the distinctive sounds of artists like Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Zakk Wylde, Eric Johnson, Devon Allman, Samantha Fish, and Chris Kingfish Ingram. Marcus King is among this year's most intriguing arrivals. Many admirers have found his raw, emotive vocals and powerful guitar riffs, which effortlessly bridge the old and new, to be particularly noteworthy since his Experience Hendrix stage debut. These musicians aren't merely covering songs. They are honoring Hendrix as the starting point for their individual musical trajectories. The tour's most poignant moment occurred on April 12th at Atlanta's Fox Theater during the last performance, when Buddy Guy, the blues icon who served as Hendrix's inspiration, came out of retirement to provide a farewell homage. Fans were taken aback by his appearance, which gave the final night a historic significance. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for many to witness the passing of the torch between generations while listening to a friend's soulful playing, which reminded everyone of why Hendrix held him in such high regard. The electric church vibe, which Hendrix himself has used to characterize his idea of music as a spiritual experience, is what makes this tour unique. Deep album cuts and fan favorites are mixed together in each performance, and the intensity of the performances gives the audience the impression that they are witnessing something sacred. Moments like Zakk Wylde jumping into the audience during Purple Haze have become instant legends, and spontaneous collaborations light up the stage. The 2025 Experience Hendrix Tour is more than just a show, it's a celebration of impact, passion, and timeless music. It's evidence that even though Hendrix is no longer with us, his music is still inspiring, growing, and changing. For those fortunate enough to see it, this trip not only revives Hendrix, but also gives him a sense of vitality. Aside from this legendary tour, a long-lost Hendrix recording that was just resurrected is what's really drawing attention. You won't believe when it was first recorded or the backstory of its long-ago resurgence. Let's begin. The world is once again focusing on one of the most enigmatic and iconic pieces of music history, the long-lost recordings known as the Black Gold tapes in 2025, along with the incredible Experience Hendrix Tour. These cassettes, some of which are from a private demo session in 1968, have come to light again and are making ripples in the music world as well as among collectors. The finding and sale of previously unheard demo versions of Hendrix hits, including Stone Free and Little Miss Lover, is one of the most astounding developments. These uncommon recordings, made during private sessions, provide a raw, unadulterated look into Hendrix's changing sound. Given how rare and valuable they are, the recordings brought incredible sums at auction, with some estimations as high as £200,000. These tracks, which show tiny changes in Hendrix's tone, rhythm, and lyrics, provide an unvarnished glimpse into his creative process, according to The Guardian. However, the most talked about aspect of this wave of revelations is the Black Gold Project, an incomplete song cycle that Hendrix allegedly started working on in early 1970. The goal of this compilation of songs was to create a conceptual album that was extremely personal and might have been his fifth significant studio release. Black Gold, which academics and Hendrix historians have referred to as the holy grail of his work, has been a mystery for many years, barely mentioned in passing in documents and interviews. According to reports, this cycle was intended to explore new musical areas by combining more intimate and experimental songs with narrative storytelling, in contrast to his earlier, commercially driven releases. For years, Black Gold was believed to be extinct. Up until now, the public had only ever received bits and pieces of information. Currently in the possession of Jani, Hendrix's stepsister, who manages the Hendrix estate. These tapes are still unreleased. Although she has long protected the material, it has recently gained attention from music researchers and collectors. Many admirers are asking how these unreleased tunes might deepen or perhaps change our knowledge of Hendrix's last months as an artist. And discussions about a potential public release are igniting new excitement among them. The fact that Black Gold was purportedly composed and recorded during one of the most creative and difficult times in Hendrix's life adds to its legendary status. He had a reinvention in 1970. He was eschewing his rock god persona in favor of a more introspective and creative approach. He also wanted to have more creative and financial control over his songs during this time. As fans anxiously anticipate the publication of the renowned Black Gold tapes, let's travel back in time and see how legendary musicians like Bob Dylan and the Beatles previously attempted to commemorate and restore Jimi Hendrix's golden legacy. At times, history remains silent until the appropriate time to bring it to life. When Live was released on August 18, 1967, at the Hollywood Bowl, that is precisely what took place. This audio, which captured a crucial moment when a teenage Jimi Hendrix took the stage as the Mumas and the Papers opener rather than as the main act, went unheard for decades. Nevertheless, his performance that evening was nothing short of spectacular. As evidenced by the recently released 2023 live album, Hendrix finds itself torn between legend and obscurity. The performance stands out for more reasons than just its rarity. It's the vitality. The set list features unreleased covers of Bob Dylan and the Beatles, providing an insight into Hendrix's experimental side. His unadulterated rendition of Dylan's words brims with passion, while his interpretation of the Beatles throbs with a daring reworking that only Hendrix could produce. Despite the odds, critics have referred to the album as the music of the future. The Hollywood Bowl recording captures a moment in time as well as music. Even though Hendrix was just starting out, his guitar playing already glistened with creativity and defiance. He pushes auditory boundaries in real time during the concert, simultaneously bending genres, notes, and expectations. This release's association with other rediscovered Hendrix moments contributes to some of the excitement around it. Hendrix stunned everyone at the Monterey Pop Festival by setting his Stratocaster on fire a few months prior to this Hollywood Bowl performance. It became a rock folklore performance. That act, which was prompted by a journalist's casual comment, was more than just a show. It turned to become a timeless representation of Hendrix's unwavering commitment to his art. Later, that same guitar, blackened by legacy and flame, would fetch £280,000. Music. This new CD also showcases Hendrix's versatility. He was a guitarist greatly impacted by the musicians around him, far from being a one-note guitar hero. It was more than a simple tribute to Dylan and the Beatles to cover them. Hendrix was using his own blazing prism to filter their brilliance. His technical mastery and emotional impact on those renditions highlight why, even before superstardom really took hold, he was regarded as a revolutionary force. Interest in other archive, Hendrix recordings has also increased as a result of the rediscovery of this Hollywood Bowl performance. His talent for improvisation and his capacity to create and communicate on the spot are further demonstrated by albums like Live in Maui. Compared to his more polished studio albums, these live recordings have an intimate, direct, and wildly unpredictable air. Decades after his death, Hendrix is still changing our perception of what it means to see live music. Fans are reminded of the unrivaled fire he brought to the stage with each rediscovered tape, raw riff, and impromptu solo. It's true that legendary tribute tours and rediscovered cassettes have preserved Hrix's legacy. However, now that his name is making news again, something else is happening in the background. Something that might change the way the world will always remember him. Let's go over the specifics. Jimi Hendrix did something groundbreaking in the middle of the 1960s. The Vox wah-wah pedal was one of the new technologies that most guitarists shunned at the time. But Hrix adopted it and revolutionized rock music. Many of his contemporaries viewed the wah-wah pedal, which was made to resemble the human voice, as only a novelty. Hrix, however, heard something else. Sobbing, shouting, and singing over his guitar, he plugged in and leaned into its expressive reach to produce tones that seemed alive. The Financial Times just published an illuminating comparison that was inspired by this audacious willingness to try out new technologies. The adoption of the wah-wah pedal by Hrix and the struggles that modern artists and professionals are facing with generative AI are strikingly similar. According to the essay, today, AI is met with suspicion, fear, and hesitancy, much like the wah-wah was initially misinterpreted and underutilized. However, Hrix's tale serves as a reminder that new instruments are only as effective as the people using them. Hrix wasn't made excellent by the wah-wah pedal. His ingenuity is what made the pedal a legend. Instead of replacing his artistic voice, he used it to expand it. The comparison's primary idea is this. Like the wah-wah, AI is intended to enhance creativity rather than replace it. It has the potential to open up completely new avenues for expression for those who dare attempt. He welcomed innovation, defied convention, and allowed technology to enhance his artistic abilities. That kind of thinking is more important than ever right now. The true question isn't whether AI will alter the rules as it becomes more prevalent in writing, music, art, and movies. It is the way in which creators decide to use it. Today's most successful artists and thinkers, like Hrix, don't wait for approval. They're rethinking boundaries, trying new things, and finding new methods to communicate. Rock music wasn't the only thing altered by the wah-wah pedal. It transformed the possibilities of a guitar. Accordingly, AI might alter the possibilities of writing, designing, and storytelling. Jimi Hendrix was not a trend follower. He made them. His illustration is a useful reminder. Those who explore are the ones who will innovate. Additionally, unless someone like Hrix comes along and makes AI sing, it might just sound like noise, much like the wah-wah. Myths and half-truths have emerged as a result of this fresh attention, despite the fact that many obscure and intriguing facets of Hrix's life are gradually coming to light. Let's discuss some of the most common myths regarding the Hrix and their startling realities. A Victorian-style home in San Francisco was listed for $3 in 2024.2 million, making news as the Red House of Jimi Hendrix. Media outlets and Hrix fans were immediately drawn to the eye-catching Crimson residence, with many speculating that the renowned guitarist had formerly called it home. Decades of regional folklore and the widespread link with Hrix's well-known blues song Red House served as the catalyst for the connection. Investigative historians, however, came up to elucidate a crucial issue as curiosity increased. In reality, Jimi Hendrix never called it home. Although it has long been known in the community as a Hendrix landmark, there is no reliable proof or record that the musician really lived there. The myth has, nevertheless, held up quite well. The house has long been a part of stories about Hrix's time in California, from fan blogs to local tours to even unofficial memorials. This example demonstrates how myths can start to trump confirmed history if they are told frequently enough. Cultural figures such as Hrix are frequently the subject of such stories. Even if the connections don't hold up to historical inspection, fans and communities may eventually ascribe legends to locations, artifacts, or stories that seem emotionally or symbolically related. In this instance, the Red House label seems to have less of a connection to the artist than it does to chance and community law. The Hendrix estate is still committed to upholding the authenticity of Jimi Hendrix's real heritage, notwithstanding the spread of these rumors. All official releases, licenses, and tribute tours are managed by Experience Hendrix LLC, which is run by his stepsister Jimi Hendrix. In addition to paying respect to Hendrix's work, they also want to ensure that it is appropriately and truthfully depicted. The estate has contributed significantly to the recorded, significant presentation of Hendrix's music and personal narrative through meticulous curation. Every initiative, including high-profile tribute tours, live performance restorations, and archival releases, is closely monitored. The Hendrix estate makes sure that myths like the Red House are handled with facts rather than merely legend, even though they may still come up. In addition to enduring legends and tributes, a court case also brought Jimi Hendrix back into the public eye. Let's examine the specifics of this intense legal dispute that sparked a new discussion over Hendrix's legacy. In a London case, the estates of Mitch Mitchell, the original drummer and bassist of the Jimi Hendrix Experience, and Noel Reading have demanded long overdue royalties from Sony Music Entertainment. Their main contention is that, while failing to adequately compensate the estates of the deceased musicians, Sony and other parties have continued to profit from Hendrix's music, especially live and archival recordings. The estates claimed that previous agreements made decades ago failed to sufficiently account for the recording's potential future value. According to stories in The Guardian and other media outlets, they contend that, particularly in the digital age, where streaming and remastered editions have given Hendrix's catalog new life, these contracts did not adequately account for the entire range of royalties produced by the ongoing reissuing and commercial use of Hendrix's content. Many of Hendrix's recordings have been released or released thanks to Sony's partnership with Experience Hendrix LLC, a family-run organization that oversees the late guitarist's estate. This is the focus of the lawsuit, despite the fact that their performances are crucial to the heritage of the music. The estates of Reading and Mitchell contend that neither the musicians nor their families have earned the proper royalties from these more recent releases. His colleagues, who are essential to the sound that makes songs like Purple Haze and Hey Joe What They Are, have not received the same level of financial acclaim as Hendrix, whose name and image have made millions of dollars. The legal team representing Reading and Mitchell's estates is also contesting the legality of previous contracts, arguing that they were signed in different contexts and with incomplete knowledge of the potential earnings in the future. Experience Hendrix LLC and Sony have filed a counterclaim, claiming that both estates gave up their claims to additional remuneration decades ago, an important legal precedent pertaining to artist compensation and contractual rights, particularly with reference to posthumous releases and legacy catalogs, may be established by the anticipated 2025 trial. Other musicians and their estates may be able to reconsider previous agreements that no longer accurately represent the reality of contemporary music distribution as a result of this case. Technical prowess was not the only aspect of Hendrix's music. It was about transformation, resistance, and liberation. That philosophy is still echoed by contemporary musicians in each audacious solo. Jimi Hendrix's influence endures in all of his experimental compositions and daring genre fusions, not as a nod to the past, but rather as a vision for the future. How do you feel about Hendrix and his enduring influence? Tell us how his music still resonates with you in the comments section below.